Hello. So we shall be discussing Schrodinger's wave equation today. Schrodinger's wave equation has actually been modeled on the classical wave equation, which probably you would have learned earlier. So we will start the derivation of Schrodinger wave equation straight away, where I shall explain the concepts to you as and when we go with the derivation. So as I was just telling you, we shall be seeing Schrodinger's wave equation today, right? So your Schrodinger wave equation will be modeled using the wave function psi, and this wave function psi will be a function of x, y, z, the three axes, and also t, the time. Okay, so we use this psi and we'll be having the initial equation, wave equation, from which we will derive the Schrodinger's equation. And when you are speaking about Schrodinger's equation, there are two forms. We will start with the first one, which is called as Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. So we are starting with Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. So we shall start with the wave equation wherein we give it as del square psi by dou square psi by dou x square plus dou square psi by dou y square plus dou square psi by dou z square is equal to 1 by u square dou square psi by dou t square. I shall just modify this equation, but not modify, I shall rewrite it. Okay, dou square psi by dou z square. Now you can write this equation as del square equal to dou square by dou x square plus dou square by dou y square plus dou square by dou z square. So you can replace this with del square, where del is known as Laplacian operator. So you can rewrite this equation as del square psi equal to 1 by u square dou square psi by dou t square. This is equation 1. And a solution for equation 1, which I rewrite here again, del square psi is equal to 1 by u square dou square psi by dou t square is equation 1, in which u is the velocity. So the solution for this is given by psi is equal to psi naught exponential minus I omega t. This is equation 2. So using this equation, I need to replace for this dou square psi by dou t square. So let me start. So first I will do dou psi by dou t. Dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I omega into psi naught exponential minus I omega t. Okay, now but I want an expression for dou square psi by dou t square. So what should I write? Dou square psi by dou t square is equal to minus I omega into minus I omega psi naught exponential minus I omega t. So what does it become? Dou square psi by dou t square is equal to, so I will get I square by omega square. You know I square is equal to minus 1, so I will have minus omega square, and instead of psi naught exponential minus I omega t, I can very well write psi. So psi minus omega square psi, my equation. Now obviously what should I do? I should substitute equation 3 in equation 1. Okay, so I have del square psi is equal to 1 by u square dou square psi by dou t square as my equation 1, and as my equation 3 I have dou square psi by dou t square is equal to minus omega square psi. So I am going to substitute this in equation 1. So what do I get here? I get del square psi is equal to minus omega square by u square into psi. Now this omega we know is the angular frequency. Omega is equal to 2 pi mu. Or you have omega square is equal to 4 pi square mu square. So let's substitute here. So what do we get here? Del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square mu square by u square into psi. Now this nu we all know is the frequency, and frequency is proportional to 1 by lambda, and the concept of proportionality will be the velocity, and here the velocity of the way we are dealing with is u. So nu is equal to u by lambda. So you can write del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square by u square, and u square will be u square by lambda square into psi. So u square will get cancelled. So you have del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square by lambda square into psi. This lambda, lambda is a wavelength, but in quantum mechanics, de Broglie has already spoken about this lambda, wherein he says lambda is equal to h by mv for matter waves, which you would have seen earlier. So we substitute this h by mv for lambda here. So what do we have here? We have del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square divided by h square by m square v square into psi, because we know lambda square is equal to h square by m square v square. So you can write this again as del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square m square v square by h square into psi. Okay, now this can be equation 4. I need to substitute for m square v square in terms of energy E. For that, I take the energy equation wherein we state total energy E is equal to potential energy V plus kinetic energy half mv square. I told you I need an expression for m square v square. So you can write E minus V is equal to half mv square, or you can say 2E minus V is equal to mv square, or you can say 2m E minus V is equal to m square v square, equation 5. Let us substitute 5 in 4. So I have del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square by h square, and what do I have for my m square v square? I have 2m e minus v into 2m e minus v into psi. Or this can be rewritten as, I'm just rearranging, plus 4 pi square by h square into 2m e minus v into psi is equal to 0. Now this, the Schrodinger's time independent wave equation, which does not have an imaginary part I. You can leave the equation as it is, and this equation number can be 6. You can leave it as it is, or in quantum mechanics, often we use h by 2 pi. So instead of often writing h by 2 pi, we can write it as h cross, or 1 by h cross is equal to 2 pi by h, or you can say 1 by h cross square is equal to 4 pi square by h square is what we have here. So this can be written as del square psi plus 2m e minus v into psi by h cross square is equal to 0 can be our equation 7. Both are the same. I'm just replacing this 4 pi square by h square with h cross square. Otherwise, both are the same. So they represent Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. We will now go into the time dependent wave equation. For this, let me again start with the equation. Psi is equal to psi naught exponential minus I omega t. What is dou psi by dou t? We have already seen dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I omega psi naught exponential minus I omega t. I can write this as dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I omega into psi. Why? Psi naught exponential I omega t is psi. So now we know again omega is equal to 2 pi nu. Omega is the angular frequency, so we write omega is equal to 2 pi nu. So dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I 2 pi nu into psi. Now I need to express this frequency nu in terms of energy. We all know energy E is equal to h nu, or you can say nu is equal to E by h. So you can write dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I 2 pi E by h into psi, where nu is replaced by E by h. Or again, this can be rewritten as dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I E 2 pi by h into psi. Or what is it? Dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I E by h cross into psi. Why? We know h cross is equal to h by 2 pi, or 1 by h cross is equal to 2 pi by h. Rearranging, I can have h cross dou psi by dou t is equal to minus I E psi. I want to take this minus I this side, so it becomes I h cross dou psi by dou t is equal to E psi. So we shall give this a number. I call it equation 8. I have an expression for E psi. I would like to take it back to Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. Either this or this, I will choose this. I'm going to take it back to Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. Let me rewrite Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. Del square psi plus 4 pi square, okay, by h square 2m E minus B psi is equal to 0, Schrodinger's time independent wave equation. I need only E psi. So I can write this as del square psi is equal to minus 4 pi square by h square 2m E minus B psi equal to 0. Or I can write this as del square psi. I can cross multiply this. So I can have h square by 4 pi square equal to, right? I'm taking this negative sign also this side, 2m E minus B into psi equal to 0, or again minus h cross square by 4 pi square. I can take the 2m del square psi is equal to E psi minus B psi. Okay, you don't need the zeros here, rather, since I have taken them this side. Okay, E psi minus, I'm sorry for this, E psi minus B psi, or you can write this as minus h cross square by 8 pi square m del square psi plus B psi is equal to E psi. I can rewrite this equation as h psi equals E psi, where h is equal to minus h cross square by 8 pi square m del square plus. So you actually, this can be rewritten as, if you see, minus h cross square 8 pi square m del square plus v into psi is equal to E psi. So this is equated to H. E, we already have an expression for E in equation 3. And here, E is known as energy operator. And this equality where we have written H is known as Hamiltonian operator. E is known as energy operator and H is known as Hamiltonian operator, and this is Schrodinger's time dependent wave equation. Next class we shall go into the application of Schrodinger's Schrodinger's equation, which would be particle in a box. We'll meet in the next class.